This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
A Sunday morning on 101, and this is Golf with Jay Delsing. And with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. Our guest, and a couple of good ones, Rob Labritz, who is paired with Jay Delsing at the Ascension Charity Classic. He'll join us in hour number 1. The winner of the Ascension Charity Classic, Steve Flesch, he'll be our guest as well in hour number 2. But always, Jay, great to see you, and should be a fun show.
Oh, Danny, I can't wait to tell the listeners about the Rob Labritz experience I had. First of all, great guy. Just a great guy. And on the first tee, man.
Piped it.
And I looked over at Pearlie, and I handed my driver to him. Because he hit it like 50 yards from the green, D. And I'm like, hey, Pearl, you take it from here. I got nothing. He's like, he looks at me with like, what just happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I'm Danny. We were going – I mean, and he's playing that ugly yellow ball, so you can't miss it. It's sitting there. It's 350 yards off the tee, dead center of the fairway, and I'm like, damn,
yeah.
Man. I mean, it was something. And then Steve Flesch, I can't wait to ask him. Just look, he had some good events and had some nice events and was having an okay year. But to come to Norwood and shoot 19 under, a closing 62, I mean, come on.
And his son is on the bag.
Which is so cool.
Can't wait to ask him about that. I want to go back to the Ascension Charity Classic now. It's been about a month ago. We still haven't had the final numbers coming in terms of the charitable aspect of this and what it means for North County. We do know it's going to be in the millions, which is great.
Yep.
But now as you reflect on it, what comes to mind is you think about playing in the tournament and just what the tournament meant. I know it's important to you, but, it's about a month ago, so you reflect on it, what comes to mind?
Yeah, so the sting of my poor play is gone.
But you played well in day 1.
I did.
And day 2 wasn't bad until...
Yep. I had a lot of good things. The losing 2 balls at Norwood, if you'd have told me that, I said my head would have lopped off.
I would have bet the house on that. I played so much with you. And
I'm a ball hawker.
You're all over it, man.
I'm all over. I don't like you losing a ball. I don't like me losing a ball. I don't like anybody we're playing. Anyway, and then 2 4-putts, which has never happened in a round of golf before to me in my life. And so, but Danny, I look back at it and it's just I don't want to use the word overwhelming, but I just don't play anymore. And so,
Well, I'd say this. You do play, but you don't play competitive golf.
Yeah.
So unless you consider playing against me competitive golf,
it is. Of course it is. But
there's a big difference between the two.
Tournament golf is the ultimate litmus test.
And all the practice that you have to put in to play at that level in that event.
Right. And just so just the added pressure, the added stuff that I just didn't handle as well. And then there's the exhaustion factor, which is again an excuse. I know what's coming. I did the best I could to prep for it, but the 3 Pro-Ams is a lot. It's just a lot. And look, I'm not saying get rid of the Pro-Ams. They're the lifeblood of the event. They're awesome. How many people did we meet? I mean, you caddied for me and 2 of them, and the guys were fantastic. But it's just a long week, and when you don't do it enough, like I do it once every 2 years, it's just a lot. And I didn't, I could have handled it better. I didn't. But the bottom line is the event was a blockbuster. How many times did we were just playing St. Louis Country Club yesterday, and what a great golf course. Grant Masson,
magnificent, man.
Thank you so much for the hospitality and it's just we had how many people come up to us and say this event was so awesome. We took our customers there. We did a thing with Will Salisbury and the Spectrum folks at Wild Crush the other night, and it was a blast.
Fireside chat.
And Danny, how many people came up to us and said the Ascension Charity Classic was fantastic? Will himself came to me and said, we were the very first corporate sponsor.
I didn't know
to
that.
give, and he said it And he goes, this event has got to keep going. Our customers still talk about watching golf and the setting, and they were on 17 in a cool little amphitheater setting up there. So I'm just proud of the fact that, you're part of the team, I'm part of the team, and we're small parts of the team. These guys, Tim Heitman and Maggie and Connor and all the Alonzo, they're living it every single day. But man, I'm just proud to be part of that.
I am your pseudo agent. You know that, right?
I know. You got to start working a little hard. No, you do a really nice job.
I get a big cut from everything you're bringing in.
That's right.
So maybe I'm your advisor. I'll go with advisor. So
consigliere.
I'm Tom Hagen from Godfather. Having said that, I've got this massive title. I'm going to tell you, next year you need to get your ass in a cart. Okay, just take advantage of what is offered to you, because I'm sitting there following you for the 3 days. The guys you're playing with are telling me, get out of the way because they're going to run me over with a cart. And I'm thinking, why isn't Jay in a cart? Take advantage of it.
Yeah, I should. I talked about
Tiger's going to do that when he comes on the Champions Tour.
Tiger who? Can you imagine if he comes out on the Champions Tour? We're going to start getting more security over there. It will be unreal. It will be unreal. But you're right. I mean, I just feel like the way golf is meant to be played is to walk and to, and I get to talk to Pearlie but you're right. I should have definitely been in the cart.
Okay, so one of the things that we love to do is go over kind of the news and notes and some of the happenings that are happening in the LPGA Tour, PGA Tour, Korn Ferry, whatever the case may be. So we just mentioned Tiger Woods. Can you explain to folks the new league that's coming? And ESPN has jumped on with Tiger, and Rory McIlroy is involved, and now some bigger names on the PGA Tour saying, yeah, I want to be a part of it. I think a casual fan hears that and they're like, well, wait a minute. I got LIV. I got the PGA Tour. I've got all these different Asian tours. I've got the Korn Ferry Tour. What the heck is this?
This is going to be a made-for-TV nighttime simulator golf league. Now, for folks, probably most of the folks listening to us know about simulators, but if you don't, guys, this is super cool. This is you in your basement with a huge screen that you hit into, but on this screen is tremendously well done replicas of holes around the world and famous golf courses. So you can go out and play St. Andrews. You can go and play Pebble Beach. You could go out. And so, guys, the picture of the first hole at Pebble Beach is projected up on the screen, and you could see the fairway bunker in the distance. The whole dog legs to the right. It's a little uphill. It's just absolutely awesome. And what they're going to do is I think, a couple of hours in the evening, and they're going to have teams, and the boys are going to sit around, and they're going to be wearing jeans and shorts and probably logos everywhere from their sponsors. And they're going to play some simulated golf like you would do with your buddies at a pub at the on the corner.
Well, that's what you're getting at Family Golf and Learning Center. And
absolutely.
We have been there during the off season of golf when it's 20 degrees here and you can't go outside. What are people doing for holiday parties? They're calling up Adam Betts and saying, okay, we love golf. We got a whole group that's going to come in here, get us some beers, get us some burgers, and get us a simulator. And we're just going to have a little fun for a couple hours. And I assume that will be a little bit of what we see, maybe not the beer and the burgers, but the simulator. And I would imagine that the technology that they're working on for this to make it work for television
will be ridiculous.
It's going to be really cool.
It'll be ridiculous. I'm really curious, Danny, to see what they do with the putting aspect of it. Because
I was
right now,
that.
the putting aspect, the simulators that I've been on leave a lot to be desired. But the other things are so real to life. It's really, really awesome. And what you're going to see on the screens when these great players hit is all of their numbers. Now, you're going to see spin rates, depending on how detailed they want to get, to your point, which is a great point.
It's highly detailed.
Right. It's going to be you're going to look at how much spin, how much curve. They're going to say, Xander Schauffele just hit his 7-iron, 205 yards. It had 16 and a half feet of curve from right to left on it. The spin rate was 3,300 RPMs per, and you're going to look at it and you're just going to go, wow.
The thing is, I would say these guys are going to step up and they're going to hit it as hard as they can.
No doubt.
Average Joe does.
Yep.
Susie Q does. Here's the thing, though, Jay. They already do when they're playing real golf.
100%. This is going to be no different.
Right.
And the funny thing is, every one of these pros, by the way, and this is probably what folks don't know, they have simulators in their homes, and they are practicing on these simulators, working on their spin rates, because the one thing that you can do is you can look at these numbers, and when you're in the weeds at a high level like these guys are, Danny, these numbers mean a lot to them. And they know that I don't want my driver over, 2,700 RPMs per minute. They know all this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, and so they're going to be super, super comfortable with what this stuff looks like. Now, again, the putting has not translated to this yet for me. I'm sure they've got new technology that's going to be different. It's going to be super, super fun.
Let's stay with Tiger.
Yeah.
One of the big stories this past week, Davis Love comes out and says, we really didn't hear from Tiger in the Ryder Cup of 2023.
Right.
If I had a vote, and I'm paraphrasing, if I had a vote, he's the captain moving forward at Bethpage Black, which is the next time the Ryder Cup will be on U.S. soil, which is just outside New York. It'll be phenomenal. The fans will be going crazy, and you could have Tiger Woods as your captain. I love that idea. Let's bring him back full circle into the game. He's still, he still moves the needle, obviously.
Yep.
Let's get him to be the captain of the Ryder Cup for the U.S. team.
Here's what I do. Tiger, 2025 and 2020 and 2027.
So you'd give him 2 runs.
Absolutely. And I you
Why would you do that though?
You go and you whip ass at Bethpage Black, and then you go and figure out how to get us the cup back in European soil, because it's been 35 years.
So give him 2 runs.
Absolutely. If he'll take it. He may not take one.
I think he will.
I do too.
I get the feeling he will. Now that he's part of the PGA Players Board and their council, I think he's trying to get more involved maybe on different aspects of the game.
Right. And listen, Monahan his job is still in jeopardy. Listen, I'm just telling you. And for him to get Tiger on the tour policy board like he did, huge move.
Sure.
And to get Tiger's influence and to get his attention, because Danny, what is Tiger? How is he spending his time and things that he absolutely is ultra uber passionate about, other than Charlie?
I've been thinking,
and being a dad.
It's funny. I've been thinking that because he'll occasionally on social media, and I follow him, and I'm sure it's done corporately, and it's not him hitting tweet or X or whatever it is now.
Right, whatever the hell it is.
Exactly. But it shows him just pitching, putting, doing some little things, and I'm thinking, okay, well, when that's done after an hour and a half, 2 hours, what is Tiger Woods doing? Now, he's probably got any business opportunity that he wants,
right? But
his heart is in the game. He loves to compete.
He's a competitor first and foremost, Danny, and he's not driven by the dollar. Of course, it's easy to say when you're probably a billionaire already, but he's never been. That is not why he's done these things. And I don't know if you saw some of you mentioned this, I know you saw this, because we talked about this earlier, but him hitting some wedges out at Pebble Beach. And I got to tell you, it doesn't look at all the same.
Really?
It's good.
Yeah.
And the guy can still play, no doubt, but you just watch him try to get over to his left side and push off on his right, and it just looks, the lower half of his body looks like,
how did he make the cut at the Masters? I still go back to that.
I know. Just all on heart. On heart. I mean, he didn't have much game either.
No, he didn't. But he found a way.
He did, and the weather was terrible. I mean, it was
impressive.
It was and painful at the same time to watch.
What do you think? The reports, I guess, said $800 million for him to join LIV.
Yep.
And he turned that down, talking about the almighty dollar and how it motivates some, and certainly it motivated others to join it. But I guess it was $800 million to join LIV, roughly?
Something like that, Danny. They said, so I'm in the middle of the Shipnut book.
I wanted to ask you about it.
Book, and it's called Live and Let Die. Yeah. And it's Alan does a phenomenal job, in my opinion, of setting the scene. He does a detailed, it's not a huge, historical deep dive into the kingdom, but he talks a lot about the hierarchy and the family and stuff like that and what's going on over there, and then documents on a time frame on some of the things in world events that have happened and things like that. And I found it very fascinating. And one of the things that's so interesting for me, D, is that I was still playing when a lot of this stuff was still going on. So we knew that there were certain things going on behind the scenes, but, none of that really affected me. I wasn't that guy. I was towards the end of my career. But the Phil Mickelson thing, basically the biggest takeaway is that Phil almost single-handedly brought LIV down when Shipnuck released the excerpt from Phil's Rip Roaring book. The first book that we had Alan on about the biography. It's a phenomenal book. And when Phil came out with the quote, the scary, so-and-sos and all of the excerpts, every single guy that LIV was talking to, Danny, was in negotiations with, bailed. DJ was their biggest catch. They needed some huge head on their mantle, and DJ was their guy because DJ had gone to number one in the world and been fluctuating back and forth with number one in the world. But he went on that run a couple years ago. Remember where he went towards the tail end of the year?
Right.
He won like 4 events and never finished out of the top 6. And one event he won by 8. And he just took his game to another level and separated himself. And so the Saudis went after DJ, and they went after him hard. He got $150 million. He was right there to sign. Phil comes up with that, and all of a sudden DJ comes out publicly back in the PGA Tour. Bryson DeChambeau, who negotiated with over a year to get his $130 million, pulled the ripcord on that too, and so did Patrick Reed, who, reading Patrick Reed's history and some of the things about this guy is just a disaster off the golf course.
Yep.
From a personal standpoint, he's disowned his parents. He's disowned his sister. His mother is brokenhearted. He's over there winning Augusta, and his parents are watching every single putt and rooting for him and reaching out to him, and they'll have nothing to do with him. And his wife, I think it's Pauline, is just polarizing, and the stuff that they come out with on social media, it's a fascinating read. It's a thin layer, Danny, of a lot of information so far. I'm 200 pages in. It's about 300 pages. I'm going to send that sucker right over to you as soon as I finish so you can plow through it and you'll read it fast as well. It's interesting.
We'll have more news on LIV coming up in our second segment. Our guest, again, Rob Labritz, he's coming up in hour number 1. Steve Flesch in hour number 2. We're going to tip our cap, and I know we're going to talk about the folks at Charter Spectrum. We had a fireside chat, and if folks would love us to come out to your golf course, your event, you're looking for somebody to come and fill a little time and talk some golf with you or sports in general, make sure and get us at j@jdelsinggolf.com. But let's tip our cap.
And I want to thank Colin Burnt and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. 314-966-0303. Colin and his team are fantastic. They just hooked me up with my car, and they're just really nice people over there. Charter Spectrum, Will Salisbury and his team. I want to thank Claire and Dave Castro and Ashley and Sam and all of those guys. Mike, they all came to Wild Crush. Lexi and the team, Karen and the girls over at Wild Crush just knocked it out of the park. The food was fantastic. We sat on the back patio, and we talked golf, and we talked sports. I'm sitting here next to a 4-time Emmy Award winner who's called Cardinal Baseball for a quarter of a century. And, guys, we have golf to talk about. We have sports in general to talk about. I'm also going to mention, I'm tipping my cap to you and Patty and Mike and Shannon and all of your friends and your team for the special needs. $450,000 last Monday at Norwood Hills. I was there.
You were the honorary chair.
People had a phenomenal time. I got to meet your cool brother, Kevin. Your cool-ass brother was there from representing Greensfelder and the community, and $450,000. We're tipping our cap to Spectrum. We're tipping our cap to you, Danny Mac, and your tournament. 21 years you've been serving this community with that tournament, raised about right about $6 million. It's just phenomenal. Thank you, Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Thank you, Colin. 314-966-0303. That's my tip of the cap.
And thank you to Jay Delsing. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Doherty Business Solutions, and we're coming to you from the CarShield Studios.
Darty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Darty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Darty Business Solutions.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's greatest names: Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Longer, Justin Leonard, David Toms, and more will compete returning September 3rd through the 8th. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com for information.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN with Jay Delsing, who played in over 700 PGA Tour events. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Rob Labritz is coming up. He was paired with Jay at the Ascension Charity Classic. Also, the man that won the Ascension Charity Classic, Steve Flesch, will be our guest. I mentioned going to break that there's more news with LIV. I found it really interesting. They officially denied World Golf ranking points for the LIV players. So that's going to have an impact on a lot of different things coming up in the world of golf.
Absolutely. Danny, I was really interested to see and read I'm in the weeds on this stuff. I love reading all this information. And I was really interested to see, did they deny them because the PGA Tour and the PGA of America and everybody railed against them, or did they take an honest look at this thing and say, here's why you're not getting it? And the biggest reason why they didn't get it, from my take, was because there's no clear entry to get on this tour. It's a bunch of wealthy guys that are picking and choosing people. And I mean, listen, what? I mean, so you're a kid and you're going to grow up and go, man alive, I hope I can somehow one day play on the LIV Tour. Oh, yeah, Joey, you could play on the LIV Tour. How, Dad? How do I get on? I mean, it sounds so stupid, but it's really that simple. You take any other tour, the Asian Tour, whatever you want, and there's a clear, not easy way. You play better. You go over there, you go through the qualifying school, you stay exempt, you do X, Y, and Z, and you earn it.
I agree with you to an extent. However, being a golf fan, I miss seeing the big names, and so
I hate it.
So here it is. We're in the sports entity of life, but really at the end of the day, it's about entertainment, and I want to be entertained. Yep. That means I want to watch Phil Mickelson. I want to see DJ.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Bryson DeChambeau was very vocal this past week. Yep. He said, you're not going to take the top 12 off of LIV and let them compete in the four majors. He said, that's insane. And that I think there's validity to what he's saying, because at the end of the day, I don't care what sport you're talking about, this is entertainment.
I agree. And listen, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but Danny, you guys chose to leave. You took the money, and we've already talked about this.
Don't begrudge him for doing it.
Absolutely. But if this were the case, you could have 6 of these LIV tours around with people with excessive amounts of money.
And that's a valid point, too.
And you're like, well, wait a minute. How do we play on your tour? Now, this is the XYZ tour, and we got these 3 billionaires got together and said, we don't care. We're gonna upfront this thing, and we got 20 guys playing on our tour. I mean, look, figure out a way. Go back, figure out a way. It's not hard. You've got all of these examples. Do some sort of qualification. Do some sort of, you need to be in the top 1,000 in the world, and then you go through this. You play these setup 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 tournaments and have a series, and the top 3 point getters you have to have a way to funnel, to earn your way onto the tour, not just because they want you.
I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of earning your way on the tour, but there was a player on the Corn Ferry.
I knew you were going to break this.
I want you to explain to fans out there how it works. So clean in place.
Yep.
Clean in place.
Yep. Lift clean in place.
So there was... well, first of all, there was one that I sent you that was gut-wrenching. He missed an 8-foot putt and missed the cut, or missed the court. If he makes it, he gets his PGA Tour card.
8-footer.
Yeah, 8-footer, missed it. But there was also a gentleman, they went back and looked, lift clean in place, and didn't put it in the identical spot of where he was at. Go through, first of all, you do it on a soggy fairway, your ball plugs, whatever the case may be. So explain then what happens and why he took the, I think it was 2-shot penalty on that. Yeah,
so typically speaking, when we're playing lift, clean, place, D, it's because we got inclement weather that's come in and it's swamped a place, okay? So imagine we're going to still play, and I've played on places that you're like, it's not even golf, and I said, I know. We're plowing through this thing, and we're going to get this thing finished. So you lift, clean, and place, so you get to, so that just allows you to not have to hit your ball out of a puddle of water. However, there have been occasions where there's been no dry spots around, and you're still hitting it out of this swampy, crappy lie where the ball could go anywhere. So what happens is you figure out where your ball is. You always mark your ball in its original spot. You always mark your ball in its original spot. And then you try to find an area that doesn't have standing water, okay? And it has to be the nearest point without going closer to the hole. You can never go closer to the hole. On the rare occasions, Danny, that there's nothing around, they'll move you closer to the hole incrementally, insignificantly. But that's done with a rules official, okay? So you're allowed to have your lift clean in place, so you mark your ball, you pick it up, clean all the mud off it, and then you can place it on your lie. It's a hell of an advantage around the greens and stuff.
Let me ask you this, though. If your ball plugs, so let's say it's in half an inch into the ground, you're saying go back to your original lie. So if you have that hole, are you able to bring up the hole a little bit? And it's almost
so when you're lift clean in place, you can place it as close to that as you want, but it doesn't have to be embedded.
Okay.
So that's the embedded ball rule, and that's through the green. So if the ball breaks the surface, and we were talking about Patrick Reed, and this is where he broke the rules.
Exactly.
In Torrey Pines, where his ball bounced into this lie, and he picks it up, which is what he shouldn't have done. And the ball needs to break the surface of the ground so it sits in like a little cupcake or a crater, okay? And if it's not, play it. And that's what Patrick Reed should have done. And anyway, so Danny, you get a club length from that area. And if you drop it outside of that club length or it goes closer to the hole, you broke the rule. And it's, there's no way in hell he was trying to get away with anything. He wasn't trying. But sometimes your mind races. You're into the moment. You're like, I'm competing. I'm doing this. And I'll tell you what I did. I was playing in Kansas City, and it was horrible summer thunderstorms. And the first 2 days we played lift clean in place. Third day, lift clean in place. Get out on Sunday, no lift clean in place. I went down the first fairway, picked my ball up. My caddy looks at me and goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm breaking the rules." So he's like, "Why'd you pick your ball up?" I'm like, "We've been doing it the last 3 days, and I just did it out of habit." Call the rules official. He's like, "It's a one-shot penalty." I picked it up, put it back where it was, hit it a foot from the hole, nice par.
Wow.
My caddy looks at me and I'm like, I know, idiot. It's just pissed away a shot there. But that happened.
It happens.
You'd be shocked at how often that happens. If there's an occasion where, so when you get a lift clean in place and you're near the green, Danny, you can go from the rough onto the fringe as long as you don't go near the hole. That's a massive advantage because you can go from high, gnarly, thick, wet rough to a place where you can putt. Makes a massive difference. And so every once in a while, you'll get an angle and you'll go, and I'll bring another player over and go, "You comfortable with this?" And it's like, "Yep, that's no problem." Or he'll say, "No, man, that's closer." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's right." So whenever I've been even close to I'll always go back. Always go back. Always take. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want someone going, that looked kind of questionable. No.
Well, this gentleman misses by a stroke because he got penalized, and it cost him his PGA Tour card, which leads me to this. Rob Labritz will be our guest, and you were paired with him at the Ascension Charity Classic Day 1. Q School is really, really tough on the Champions Tour.
Impossible.
So explain that, and Rob has had to go through some of this, and it's admirable to go through it and to qualify and to be on these events, man. It's tough to do.
It's unbelievable. So there's only 5 cards awarded. So you're going into a tournament where there's 80, is it 83? Whatever it is. There's somewhere around 80.
I thought it was 83.
Yeah, there's somewhere around 80 people, and you have to finish in the top 5.
That's it.
6, you're out. There's no you finished 7th, you're going to be. Nope. It's top 5. And Rob went and won that school by 3. And that's just balling, Danny. That's just playing your butt off, and that's just heart. And he's been preparing for this. I talked to him about it while we were playing. I'm like, dude, you made it through the senior qualifying school tournament. That is the the Everest of all sports. It's harder than back in the day. I've got a great record through qualifying school tournaments. I killed it in the qualifying school tournaments. Tons of pressure, 6 rounds, and I made it through like 7 of 8 times. I mean, I had a really, really good record. But there were 20 and 30 cards being given, not 5.
Yeah.
5 leaves a razor's edge, man. You lip a putt out or you get a bad bounce and you're gone.
I want to ask him, and I'm going to ask you, when you're paired with somebody on that level and the competition is so tough, your concentration level has to be through the roof. And you're a talkative guy. Everybody knows that. You got 2 hours to fill on Sunday morning, so we know you love to talk. How much did you guys talk? So Rob Labritz, you talked a little bit.
Yep.
Next day, Maria Olazabal, you're with him. I didn't see you guys chit-chat much in day 2.
No.
So it's kind of different, isn't it? With certain players that you play with that you know, hey, we can have a conversation. How's family? How's life? That kind of thing.
Yep.
Maybe how's golf?
Right.
And with other guys, it's just not the case.
No, Danny, spot on. And look at that influences how the day goes. And you pretty much get an idea after 2 or 3 holes. Especially, I don't know Rob Labritz from Adam. He came up to me, introduced, said he was a fan of mine. And I'm like, fan of mine? Anyway, he couldn't have been nicer. And I said, man, congratulations on getting through the school. I'm really looking forward to playing with you today. And you can help me find my ball. And he's like, I got it. I got you. I got young eyes. I'm like, I'm sure you do. But Danny, I got out there. I was blown away at the game he had. And I also played with Richard Green, who's a guy I didn't know from Adam. And in fact, I'm sad to say that I'd never even heard of him. He had played his entire career on the European Tour. And he just turned 50. And there's another guy you can watch. He's got tons of game. The next 10 years, Richard Green and Rob Labritz are going to be robust on the Champions Tour and make a ton of money.
Good for them.
Absolutely. They've earned it. They're earning every dollar.
The other thing I want to ask him, and we'll wrap up the segment with this, just his reaction to Norwood, playing at Norwood. Yeah. And now that we're a month away, I guess, from the final tee shot that we saw at the Ascension, there's still, and you and I, as you always say, we're in the weeds on this, and we read things, we talk to people that are involved with the Ascension, and we're not just saying this, but there are glowing reviews of what people are saying, the players themselves, about playing at Norwood Hills.
No doubt. And how about this? I can't remember where, we were at your fundraising golf tournament for special needs kids, and how many people talked about the Pro-Am party. Now, folks, golf is one thing, and getting the best players over 50 to come out and put on a show is one thing. A party? Everybody's been to a great wedding. Everybody's been to some. This gala
great.
That they put on was off the charts.
It was like a wedding on steroids.
It was the ice sculptures and all of the food. The seafood was just incredible. Yep, we heard that. I think I heard that twice over at Norwood it's your fundraiser,
which was on Monday. And Norwood should be commended, by the way, because that is already getting back in shape with all the people that were out there walking all over the place.
Mike, no,
you wouldn't really know that there was a major event that was held there about a month ago.
How about the grass that he's growing already? I don't know how this guy does that, but I mean, Danny, those bleachers just beat the hell out of that turf over there. And he's already got grass coming up.
It's pretty cool.
Yep. So he does a great job.
Rob Labritz is coming up. Also, Steve Flesch, who won the Ascension Charity Classic. We'll visit with Rob in our next segment. And we're brought to you by Darty Business Solutions as we come to you from the CarShield Studios.
I'd like to welcome I Promise to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. What is I Promise, you ask? It's a St. Louis-based company with the most clinically backed eye health performance supplement brand with over 20 years of eye health expertise and nutrition science. It's all natural, and their cutting-edge science and technology has helped I Promise forge many exciting new golf partnerships, like with the PGA of America, the Titleist Performance Institute, the Ledbetter Academy, and many more. Perhaps the most exciting component for me is that all of this new improvement is measurable. I can tell you that in my case, my initial score was around 0.25. And after taking the I Promise product for 2+ months, my score soared to almost 0.60. It had more than doubled. I can now read the greens better because I'm not really dealing with as much glare and trying to manage that, and I squint much less when I'm playing golf. And you don't have to take it from me. Check out what Padraig Harrington has to say about this product. He is playing some of the best golf of his career in his early 50s, and he swears I Promise has helped improve his short game. Check out I Promise. That's I Promise, the company helping us to see better, play better, and live better. Visit them at ipromise.com.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green designed to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
Hey, St. Louis, Eddie McVeigh here from Maggie O'Brien's. When you head downtown for a concert or cards or blues game, and now for the St. Louis City soccer game, please come see us at Maggie O'Brien's before and after your event. Take our shuttle to and from, or stay in-house and watch your favorite team on our multiple high-def TVs. We look forward to seeing you soon at one of our 2 locations in Sunset Hills on South Lindbergh or downtown at the corner of Market and 20th Street. Union Station is next to us.
Did you know that Marcone is the largest distributor of General Electric appliance parts in North America? That's right, Marcone does that. Did you know that their worldwide headquarters are located right here in St. Louis? Well, if you didn't know that then, you'll know it now, because CEO Jim Sowers is a philanthropic force in our community. Besides the most recent Marcone military and first responders viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, which, by the way, was a huge hit here and has been copied at other PGA Tour and PGA Tour Champions events, Marcone has purchased and donated many vital service dogs for our wounded military heroes, which help them transition back into society after sustaining catastrophic battlefield injuries. Jim and Marcone also support the Backstoppers, the police and the firefighters, the local naval organizations, and many, many more. Marcone, the company that calls St. Louis home, that always strives to improve and enhance our community in so many different ways. That's Marcone.
Coming to you from the Car Shield Studios. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and it truly is our pleasure to welcome in Rob Labritz, and I know this is somebody, Jay, you've been looking forward to visiting with.
Oh, absolutely, Rob. Welcome to the show, man, and thanks so much for joining us.
Jay, thanks for having me. Dan, nice to meet you. Yeah, looking forward to chatting with you today.
You bet we are.
Well, I had this, and I mean this, supreme pleasure getting to play with you the first round at the Ascension Charity Classic. But first of all, thanks so much for coming to St. Louis. Give us your impression of the tournament, Rob, and Norwood, and just your experience.
Oh, well, first of all, the tournament is awesome. I mean, all the Champions Tour events, you know, me being almost a new guy out here, I love every event. But going to St. Louis and playing at Norwood Country Club, I mean, Norwood's a hidden little gem there, which is nice. What a cool shot maker's golf course that you got to kind of work your way around. You know, and it was cool playing with, you know, the St. Louis legend there, Jay Delsing, too, on the first day. We had some nice crowds out there. It was kind of cool to.
You know, it's amazing, by the way, Rob, he says on the first tee, you pipe one down there, and he says, are you kidding me? Who are these guys hitting at 50 yards past me?
And I said to my caddy, I said, Pearly, you take over from here. There's nothing here for me.
Well, you know what? You played pretty solid that first round. I think you shot 2 under, correct?
I did.
So, yeah. So I mean, for a guy who presumably doesn't play a lot, you had a pretty damn good game out there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you helping me find my ball, and it was a blast playing with you and Richard. I was so impressed with your game, and one of the things, Rob, that I love as a player, and I wanted to get your thoughts, is all of the hospitality and stuff that's out there that is not a given on the Champions Tour. The back nine at Norwood's really fun to play in front of those people for me.
Yeah, they had some great stands. That's probably one of the bigger stands, that we have besides kind of some of the senior majors out there, the U.S. Senior Open and stuff. So the crowds get really, big and behind you, which is awesome. And St. Louis crowds are great. I mean, they cheer for the good shots. They don't say much when you hit the bad ones. But it's a great group of people out there, and the pro-ams were great. It's just a cool place to hang out. It really is.
Well, over the years,
it's a fun place to play day in and day out.
Well, Rob, over the years, you've qualified for the PGA Championship 8 times, finishing as low PGA professional in 2010, I believe in 2019 as well. You've been a 3-time Met PGA Player of the Year. So, while you've enjoyed your time, I'm sure, on the Tour Champions, but tell us a little bit about your background and building up to get to that point to compete with guys like Jay Delsing and others that we saw here in St. Louis a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I appreciate that one. I fell in love with the game of golf at a young age. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My parents lived on a place, a little executive par 3 golf course in Southington, Connecticut, and I just fell in love with the backyard green. There we were on the 8th hole, so I used to chip and putt and just kind of fell in love with the game. So I always wanted to play it. I played pretty good in Connecticut. We won state high school championship up there, and then my parents moved me down to South Florida when I was a junior in high school in like 1987. Big move for me. So we moved down there. I got to play a lot of golf and got a lot of scholarship offers to colleges. I ended up going back to Central Connecticut State for a semester and a half, and I found it way too easy to skip class and hit golf balls. Nobody was watching me do my studies, so I would just wear out the golf balls, and I probably drank too much beer. But
so you were like every other college kid.
We could all relate.
Yeah.
I wish I had the discipline to kind of stick it out and finish out my college. That's the one thing, kind of in my life that I always kind of look back and was like, But on the other hand, it turned out okay. But so after that, I kind of got into some of the mini tours. I was playing the JC Goosey Tour, and my mom, who was a great lady, she's intensive care nurse for 50 some odd years. She said to me, she goes, honey, she goes, you're probably going to be the greatest player that ever walked, better than Jack Nicklaus. She goes, but if you ever get injured, she goes, you're not really going to have much to stand on. So she goes, there's this thing called the PGA of America. She goes, and you can work at a club, and she goes, and get your PGA membership card and run a club if something ever doesn't happen to you or something happens to you. My mom was a forward thinker. So I got a job down in South Florida at this place called Monarch Country Club in 1991. And, kind of fell in love with kind of the business a little bit of it. And I still played a ton. So yeah, it was like best of both worlds. All the jobs that I usually had, the head pros were like how much I played, and they liked that I had some games. So, I kind of rose up that way and got to be known as a player. My dad passed away in 97, did some stupid things for about a year, and got my life back on track when I went up to Shinnecock. And 3 years later, we opened up Glen Arbor Golf Club. And I've been there ever since. Director of golf, 23 years, high-end private place in Westchester County. It's phenomenal. So now we're a year and a half into the Champions Tour, and we're learning, every time that I play out there, I get a chance to play with some of the greatest like Jay and Ernie Els and Bernhard Langer. And it's talk about being thrown into a great frying pan of learning. And I'm just welcoming every second of it. It's been a dream of mine my entire life,
Well, Rob, what do you pick up from those guys? What do you see? You've been around golf all your life. What is the difference between those top players and people that are trying to make it on the tour? What's the difference? What do you see?
Well, obviously there's a lot of talent, level. There's talented people all over the place. It seems to me for the year and a half that I've been out there and all the majors that I've played that if people don't get too wrapped up in in the game. What I mean by that is, I've learned over the last, year and a half that, you can care too much, you can try too hard, all the things that golf kind of pushes out into you can happen. It's really just about the shot that you're playing. I mean, it's in simplest terms, you just got to go out there and you got to hit that one shot at the one time that you got. It's your first shot of the day, and you got to get that sucker in play. And then once you get that thing in play, you got to get that thing on the green. And then once you get it on the green, you got to make a putt. So it's sort of one of those things where it's all about the one shot that you're on. And if you think past, you're not doing yourself any service. And if you think forward, you're definitely not doing yourself any service, unless it's a bigger picture sort of thing. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I've learned is just stay calm and not get so wrapped up. And if you hit a bad shot, you got to have the tools to get up and down. So you better have a great short game. You better be able to putt, and then just stay calm out there. If anybody could just stay calm and just get the negative thoughts out of their brains, which is hard to do, I know you'll probably play some pretty good golf.
Rob, one of the things that I don't want to skip over is the Met section is a badass section in terms of players. You got a lot of good players. Also, you got great venues up there.
Yeah, the Met section is, I mean, we are blessed to have some unbelievable golf courses. I mean, major championship venues from Wingfoots to Shinnecock's to Quaker Ridges to, the hidden gems like Glen Arbor. It's a plethora of unbelievable golf, fabulous shape, and tons of competition. The Metropolitan Golf Association and the Metropolitan Section PGA, they run fabulous events up in that area. I did it for 27 years, and that's what kind of prepared me, for this Champions Tour run that I'm kind of having, which is kind of nice. It's all because of those events that we've played in, and PGA of America, of course.
Rob, as you mentioned, Rob Labritz is our guest. You've been preparing your entire life to do what you're doing now. What was that first moment like where you kind of looked around and you go, man, I'm out here too. This is pretty cool. Was there something that really stuck with you or somebody you played with that really just kind of blew you away?
Not really. I mean, to be honest with you, I played in a bunch of majors, and I always tried to play with the top guys, the Dustin Johnsons, the Keegan Bradleys, the Jason Duffners, the Tommy Fleetwoods. I always tried to play with the best players because I wanted to see, what their games were like and what my game kind of stacked up against. Because, as a club pro, you're playing with other club pros, and it's great to play with club pros, but club pros are club pros. They work for a living. They're very talented, but they're not putting all their efforts into their golf game. When you play for a living, you put all your effort into the golf game, which it's just a different animal. There's no disrespect. I'm still, I'm 31-year club pro. I just know that I've put a lot more time in my game the last year and a half than I ever have in my life. So I think that just happens when you have the time to be able to do it. I've
got to talk about the Q School. So for folks that don't know this, when the Champions Tour qualifying school happens at the end of the year, and they only give away 5 spots. I mean, if you told me that I had to finish in the top 5 anywhere, if my game wasn't in top shape, I don't even know if I'd enter. That's how difficult it is to plan on finishing in the top 5. And you did that. Take us through that. There's got to be some fun stories involved and some super pressure-packed moments.
Yeah, it's funny, Jay. I'm so glad that I found out how hard it was to get through Q School after I did it. Because if I had heard all this stuff probably before, I don't know what could have happened. But I went out there. I had 18 years of kind of just sitting around and telling myself that I wanted to play the Champions Tour, and would work on my game, would work out, would sit in the spin classes, would do my visualization, would meditate at night. I'd do all the things that I needed to do to kind of get it done. Going through Q School, I just figured out, I was a director of golf. I figured I'd go. I prepared myself the best of my ability. I said, go there, play my hardest, and see what happens. I got out to a good first stage. I double bogeyed or made double bogey on the last hole of the senior club pro, I think, to kind of put myself, out of having to I had to go through 2 stages of Champions Tour Q School. So, I finished 6th, I think, in that, and the top 5 got through to finals. So I went into that first stage and got paired with, a bunch of good players and, shot 15 under and finished, I think, 2nd or 3rd in that first stage. And then that gave me a ton of confidence, kind of going into, finals. And I knew that if I could just kind of one shot it at a time, I'd be okay. And I found myself in really good position, going into the final day. the night before that round was the craziest night of my life, besides when I had my thyroid removed.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I went through, I mean, I was on the ground praying to God. I was crying. I was laughing. I was calling all my tour friends who ever won a tournament. What do I do? How do I do this? I got one day left. I want this so bad, and when I tell you I'm sitting there on my knees praying to God, that's the truth. Okay.
Wow.
I must have talked to him for hours that night. I was so nervous. Everybody said the same thing They said the same thing to me. They said, Rob, just go out there, smile, and have a good time. You work your ass off. Just go out there, smile, and have a good time. So then I called my wife, and my wife said her and my son gave me the best advice of all. My wife knows I love to talk to people. She knows that when I'm out there, I like to, I'm hitting golf balls, or if I'm, walking up and down the fairways, I like to engage with people. That's just the way I am. I love it. So she goes, honey, for this round, she goes, I want you to do me a favor. And I said, anything for you. She goes, I want you to put your head down. And she goes, I don't want you to talk to anybody. She goes, for one round. She goes, when you make yourself through this round, she goes, you'll be able to talk to all the people that you want. She goes, just go out there. She goes, and shoot under par and see what happens. So I get up the next morning and I mean, there's a whole backstory to this. Through a friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of Andy Adcock. I can't believe I left Andy out, but in the first stage, going into the final round, I chatted with him. In the second round, he was standing by the tee box, kind of talking to some of the golfers, watching us go through. And we get to the final round, and he's standing out by my cart and my caddy, and this is in first stage. And he said, Rob, he goes, you came over and talked to me yesterday. He goes, I just wanted you to know that I looked you up. And he goes, and you seem like a really good guy. He goes, I prayed for you. He goes, I think you're going to do well today. And I said, gee, Andy, thanks a lot. He kind of just came over. He goes, I don't want this to be weird or anything like that. He goes, I just want you to know that I prayed for you. And I said, it's not weird. I said, that's awesome. Thank you, So I went out and played good, that final round in first stage. And then, of course, we go into the final round, second stage, and we're at TPC Tampa Bay, and I walk out to my cart. Who's standing there? But my friend Andy, who I haven't seen since first stage. And he goes, Rob, he goes, I'm here today because I want you to know that I prayed for you. And he goes, wow. And I said, wow, Andy, you showed up? He goes, yeah. He goes, you know what? He goes, I figured you could use a prayer and introduce me to his wife. And he goes, just go out there and have fun. And I went out there and I shot a bogey-free 64 in the final round. And, with 3 holes to go, I didn't know how well I was playing. I swear to you. I was so focused on one shot at a time that I turned to my caddy with 3 holes to go, because that's all I wanted to know with 3 holes to go. And my caddy at the time, Todd, was hard of hearing. I said, Todd, how are we doing? He goes, bro, he goes, you got 3. And I said, oh my gosh, I got 3 shots out of the top 5. So okay, I better focus. Let's make some pars here. So he turns to me like 30 seconds later. He goes, no, Rob, he goes, you got a 3-shot lead. He goes, you're 8 under today. And I turned to him and I said, well, I knew I was making birdies. I said, but we're 8 under. He goes, Dad, dude, you're 8 under par.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So I said, he goes, just hit the fairway these last 3 and hit the last 3 greens, make 3 pars. And he goes, and let's get the F out of here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
And that's so I did that. And actually on the last hole, I hit a 9-iron from 190 yards that flew over the green. And I had to get up and down, but I did get up and down, and it was one of the happiest moments of my life. I mean, it was crazy.
Rob,
I bet.
The first time that I had ever heard your name, seen your face, the smile, the whole thing was, I'm not a Golf Channel guy, but I happened to have it on, and they were showing, you coming in, and I think you had just won the finals, and there was, there was a moment there, Rob, I think, where it hit you like, holy smokes, man, this is what I just did. And I think you broke down a little bit. There was a hell of a lot of celebrating. There was laughter, tears, the whole thing, like you explained. And it was one of those moments where you're like, this is what is so cool about sports. And it really is, when you see someone that's put their mind to something and gone through so much, and then you get them on the other side and you get to see the humanness of it.
That was the humanness was brought out by my friend Lewis Kelly. He came over. I hadn't seen Lewis in probably a year or so, and he came over just to see me finish. And I had a bunch of friends there. All my college roommates were there, my college friends from CCSU. It was awesome. I had a great contingent of people. But Lewis gave me a hug, and he said, "Man, you sacrificed a lot to get here." And as soon as he said that to me, that's when the faucet turned on, and I had to call my wife, because part of my envisioning of winning Q School was me making that phone call to my wife.
Yeah.
Telling her that we did it. And, to this day, I still get choked up for it because I'm just so grateful.
I bet you are. Hey, Rob, you've been around the game, as you mentioned, forever. So I'm going to change subjects here so you don't cry on the air. We don't want you to cry. We don't want you to get too emotional.
We don't care, though. We can cry. Go ahead. You're good.
But how has the game evolved as you look at it now from when you first started and you're teaching and doing various things? Now you're playing and competing at a high level. How has the game evolved in a general sense?
Well, we started out with persimmon drivers and a lot of balls, So, it's evolved to a point where the technology is so good, the training is so good with the body, the instruction is so good with all the guys out there, the top 100, and all the people that are connecting to make all the teachers and coaches and better. It's you have access to stuff since when you're a little person now. As a young child coming up to get good drive, chip, and putt, you got tons of avenues to play golf. It is just awesome. It's the third largest industry, I believe, on the planet, golf. And, it's got to the point where it's so lucrative, especially if you get out there and you become a Victor Hovland or somebody like these guys. They're making, millions of dollars. It's just evolved to the point to where it's a business. But I also think that, I see a lot of it, and I don't see a lot of people, the young people really having fun when they're kind of getting out here. It's really serious. So I think having so much online, or so much on the line, so to speak, people take it too seriously instead of just remembering that it's a game. And if you have fun with it, you'll probably make a pretty good living at it as long as you dedicate yourself to it. But the technology, everything's changed. That's what makes it so great.
Rob, what's really neat from my seat is to watch people from different walks and take different paths to get out to the Champions Tour or the regular PGA Tour. Tell us a little bit about how you feel like maybe even Glen Arbor, how that helped you. Because the player that you are now is outstanding, and people need to know how well you can play.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. My club, the owners of my club, the Gregories and the Tories, were always behind me. As a club pro and a director of golf, they, when we hired people to like their strengths. So it was a really good environment to grow my golf game, and it was they wanted me to play. They welcomed it, and I did well. So when I did well, they would celebrate it. It was a nice thing. It wasn't like a thing where, oh, he's going to play again, I can't believe he's leaving again, where I hear a lot of club pros get that. So that's, and obviously the facility that we have with the 6 acres of short game, our indoor outdoor teaching facility, it's open all year round, and our golf course is it's a Gary Player signature. It's fabulous. So all those tools, especially for me being up north in the winter, helped keep my game sharp, because what I would do is I would teach for 40 hours a week, 1 week, and then I would go down and play the PGA Tournament Winter Series for a week. I'd come back and I'd teach for 40 hours, go back down and play 2 more events. So I kind of went back and forth, during the winters to kind of keep my game sharp. So when the season rolled around, I could qualify for the Club Pro. And my ultimate goal was always to top 15 it into the PGA Championship like Michael Block did a few weeks ago. But he beat me to that one.
Well, Rob,
rightfully so.
We can't say thank you enough for jumping on, and your story is remarkable. It's inspiring, and thanks for doing this. We certainly appreciate it and look forward to seeing you back in St. Louis next year.
I appreciate it, Dan. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Jay. It was really great playing with you, and anytime you guys want to talk golf, I'm happy to do so.
Rob, tell our listeners real quick how they can follow you, because I know you've got a few outlets there.
So they can follow me through LinkedIn, Rob Labritz, Twitter, Rob Labritz Golf, Instagram, Rob Labritz Golf. And I think that new one, Threads, I don't have anything out yet, but you can do something on there, and pretty much any platform. Just type in my name. I don't have, it's either Rob Labritz or Rob Labritz Golf, and see if I'm there. I'm happy to get back at you or to you if you have any questions. And, social media is fun for me out on the road because it gives me something to do.
I look forward to my free lesson coming up at the Ascension Charity Classic next year when you come through town. So thanks for committing to that for me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Just let me know what part of the game you're going to need the help.
All of it.
All of it, Rob. It's all of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rob. We really appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Great being on with you. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it. That's Rob Labritz, and this is coming to you from the CarShield Studios, and we're brought to you by Darty Business Solutions.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Redbird Heating and Cooling sponsors the Veterans Vocational Apprenticeship Program. Jed, the CEO and former Marine, will teach, mentor, and sign off on educational and mechanical work hours to help you get fully licensed while you work and get paid by the company. What a great way to launch your career as a fully licensed HVAC specialist. Visit redbirdhvac.com. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
There are always amazing stories that come out of the game of golf, and that's another one. Rob Labritz, really nice to visit with him. He was paired with Jay, first round of the Ascension Charity Classic. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're coming to you from the CarShield Studios, and we're presented by Darty Business Solutions. Man, always amazing stories of how guys get to the PGA Tour, or in this case, the Champions Tour, PGA Tour champions. So really nice to visit with him.
Yeah, Dan, just a great guy and a great story and a great follow, folks, if you want to follow somebody and have someone to root for on the Champions Tour. But, Danny, what's stuck out in my mind is that here's a guy that worked his way up to this. You know, never played on the PGA Tour, played a few PGA championships because of the PGA America affiliation, and more power to him, but not really a tour player, and then but a damn good player, and then waiting till you're 50 to go through this experience. And Danny, this kind of qualifying school tournament, it's not like any other event he's ever played in. And for him to go out and ball that hard and win that tournament is just, I mean, it's hats off, man.
When you think you're a club pro and to get to this level, because club pros have to put so much time into merchandise, the members, their ownership,
lessons, all that stuff. You're so
you
right.
can't work on your game.
No.
So that's a lot of credit to him, too. I know one of the things that you talked about there, the Met section, you love it, and that's something that is very important to you, too.
It is. You know, Allie Wells runs our Gateway section here, and I'm really committed to trying to help her and help our local pros to just have better events run for our section to help them continue to play the game at a high level. We got a lot of good players in this section. And so, and it's all, it's a process. It's going to take a minute, but we can get some really nice events for our guys to play in and keep them sharp and keep them playing good golf, because it's going to help their experience with the members and help them increase the pleasure of all their members playing the game better. Like Mike Tucker over at Belle Reve, he's stud. He and his brother Jared, they play great, and you know he's a guy who loves the game too. D does a lot to grow the game,
and that's the one thing that I always point to is that these guys are putting in, and gals putting in, so much time and work to make the game of golf a lot better for us and our kids and everybody around St. Louis. So appreciate them.
When do I get to give Avery McLaughlin the shout out?
You can do it right now.
Be a good time?
You can do it right now.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the proud dad.
You are teaching her.
Who won the district high school girls championship at Westboro by 3 strokes?
That would be my daughter, Avery McLaughlin, with a birdie on 18 to seal it up. So and this was on Monday. And so I can tell the folks that, yes, I'm very, very proud. And all the credit goes to her and to you for putting in so much time with her to make her a better player. And then she's put in the time to get better. So I'm very proud of her. And this is something that she's worked for since she's been a very little girl. So I'm very, very proud of her. But Jay is giving me, I'm at my golf tournament. I'm running around saying hello to people, trying to be a nice host. And Jay's giving me updates, the good, the bad, the ugly.
I'm like, we got a 12-footer for par. I'm all nervous over here. You know?
I was so nervous.
So good. And she just stands up there, and she's got such a powerful swing. And playing over at Westboro, it's a great golf course, but they've got it playing pretty short. For the girls, they've got to move a lot of girls through the course in a timely fashion, and it's not easy. And so she's meandering, her picking and choosing, and I think she only hit one driver over there.
I think
all
she
day
did.
long.
Yeah.
And so it's not what I would call an ideal golf course for Avery, because she's so powerful, and this is her dialing back on every single tee shot, but. Man, God bless her. She
puts in the work, man.
She competes.
I'm very, very proud of her, and I love her very much.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what's a blessing and a curse as a parent or as a coach. Golf Genius.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You could follow online what your kid is doing, and you're just waiting for it to refresh.
Your palms are sweaty. You're like, what's taking so long?
It's a blessing and a curse.
I know. You're like, they should be finished with the third hole by now. I can't stand it. I must have driven my parents crazy watching the computer when we're out at 6:30 in the morning and the TVs weren't on yet. Oh my man. Yeah, it's a tough way to watch, man.
So our guest coming up is going to be Steve Flesch, as we go from Rob Labritz, who competed at the Ascension, to the guy that won it. And we talked about this in our first segment, but I can't wait to ask him not only about winning, but winning with your son on the bag. I'm so proud of my daughter and my other son. And I'm proud of all my kids. They're all athletic and do different things, and I'm proud of them. I try to just stay in the background, and it's all them. They put in the work. But I'm sure for his son, and he talked about having he has talked about it in the past, but having other members of his family on his bag and hasn't won. I remember him saying that after the Ascension. So I want to ask him, what was it like to have your son on the bag and realize walking up 18, I'm going to win this thing, and I got my kid next to me? That's pretty cool.
Oh, Danny, I can't even imagine as a parent. And the other thing is Griffin has carried the bag for Fred Couples and won tournaments before. And so, it's like, come on, Dad, let's go. When are you and I got to knock one off? So I can't imagine what that had to feel like, standing on the 18th green, getting to hug your son, and get Nick Ragone to come over here and drop a big fat check on you in a trophy.
Pretty nice.
Really nice.
I have asked our previous guests that are lefties, Steve Flesch is a lefty, if they started right-handed. Now, you began golf playing with your mom's clubs. You would just grab anything you could find, hit the ball.
Yep.
Hey, it's mom's clubs. I don't care. I'm learning the game.
Right.
But I wonder if Steve, I want to get into this, if he began as a righty. I think he's natural righty, so he might be ambidextrous, but he's playing lefty. I've seen guys that hit the ball lefty and then putt righty, and I've seen guys hit right-handed and then putt left-handed. I've seen it both.
I can tell you what without asking him, I bet you Steve Flesch was a great athlete.
I
just
bet he
looks
was too.
like he's been around a ball his entire life. Not necessarily a golf ball. I bet you he can play some hoops. I bet you he could hit a baseball, all that stuff. He just, ever since I've met him, he just looks like one of these guys that knows how to play.
And he seems like a late bloomer. He went to the University of Kentucky, and then he played on a bunch of different tours. Like we talked about earlier, you got to earn it to get to the PGA Tour, which he did, and now on PGA Tour Champions. But you find that in sports, Jay, and it happens all the time. Don't give up on players. Don't give up on kids. I don't care what sport you're talking about, because there are so many late bloomers. Maybe it's growing into your body late. Maybe it's the mental side of sports. Many now use psychologists, but you can't give up on these late bloomers, man.
I agree. I mean, your son Luke is, in my opinion, is a late bloomer, and you just don't know what things are going to come your way. And if you stay diligent and you stay keep that resolve, like I know Steve Flesch has strong resolve. Steve Flesch is one of the coolest guys. He was on the Golf Channel for a while. We got to work together with Fox, and I always listened to him. And he worked really hard. When we were doing TV, you just don't stand there and pick things up. And so I was
put the work in, man.
Yeah, I was a newbie. I mean, what you do with your Cardinal stuff and bringing all these stories to light, because baseball is such a slow game and you have all this time. You did that so beautifully. Steve did a lot of work like that too, and he's a smart guy. He's just not, let me hit the ball. He gets the financial piece behind it. He gets the business side of it. And then he has the family side. I can't wait to talk to him about this stuff.
Final round 62 to close out the Ascension Charity Classic. I'm curious, just in a general sense, you've done this before. He's done it before. Obviously, the final round of the Ascension, other golfers, countless guys at that level have done it, but to be in the zone when you just feel, I guess, that every putt is going down and everything you hit is pure, and you just feel great when you're on the course, when you're in the zone like that.
It's been a minute for me, Danny, but did you see his start?
It was incredible.
What was he, like 6 under after 7 holes or something like that? And then he birdied 8. I mean, he just, I can't wait to ask him. I mean, because
what's it like though to be in the zone like that? You
just don't get many days like that, And so what happens is, for me, is that everything slows down. It's like you're breathing, you're hyped to the max. You've got all this adrenaline, but all of a sudden, it just seems to slow down mentally, and the whole, just the pathway to what you're trying to do seems so apparent, And then you also have this calmness inside that's like, I'm doing this. It's like a lot of the anxiety just levels off, you know, and you get this quiet, and then you start hitting these putts and you're like, oh, that went in. And oh, that shot, oh, it got a good bounce and that went right next to the hole. I think he said, when I talked to him off the air, I think on the second hole, he eagled the second hole from hit it 2 feet from the hole.
Yeah.
And that hole location was ridiculous.
Yeah, you talked to him basically right after the Ascension Charity Classic, and he was talking about that particular hole and that particular shot. You were telling me about that.
Yeah, and he's like, I made it, birdied the first, then went ahead and made an eagle at the second. And I'm like, you eagled the second where that hole was? Right. I mean, it was crazy. So, yeah, I mean, you just don't get days like that. One year in Memphis on Sunday, I shot 61, and it was like, Danny, I just wanted to keep playing. I just hope I
So
didn't
is it
run
the
out of
putting
holes.
that, the hole seems like it's as big as the ocean, or is it how you hit it? What, what happened?
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. It's like nothing bothers you. You may hit an occasional shot. I didn't hit many bad shots at all. I didn't make any bogeys that day and didn't really have any. I don't think I had a putt over 3 feet for par.
Wow.
It was just one of those days, and then I chipped the ball in when I was in kind of a tough spot on a par 5, and instead of hoping to get it close to make a birdie, you chip it in and make an eagle. It's almost like stealing 2 shots.
Sure.
And you just all of a sudden there's this wave of momentum that you really, really try to care about. You don't want to,
Yeah.
we don't want to take unnecessary risks. Just get me on the green because I'm probably going to make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then with that mentality, then you have those other days where get me on the green. I got to stick it, 2 feet from the hole or else I won't get it in. And those days go to 74s on you like you can't believe.
As we wrap up this segment, I asked you about this. I followed him a little bit at the Ascension, and that's Bernard Langer, and I'm going to ask Steve about it, and I asked a lot of the PGA Tour Champions guys about it. They're just shocked at what he's still able to do at his age, the shape that he keeps himself in, how he hits the ball, his model of consistency. It is pretty amazing to see what he's doing.
I can't take enough hats off for Bernard. And if you watch that putting stroke,
it's incredible.
It would make coffee nervous. That thing jumps all over the place.
And he battled the yips.
Danny, multiple times. Remember, this is a guy that won the Masters with his right hand locked into his left forearm, holding the grip end of the putter. And he won the Masters. Try putting like that. You want to talk about no feel.
Yes.
It is like your hand's brick-like, and you're just trying to keep it from jumping off, on you. And He keeps himself in great shape. He's such a strategist and such a point A to point B player. And his consistency with his ball striking is ridiculous. He just doesn't make many errors.
Yeah.
He doesn't make many tactical
That's
errors.
what I noticed. His management of the course was second to none.
Yep. He gets himself around the golf course like no one. I thought Corey Pavin did an unbelievable job at that, which he did.
Your former college teammate.
Yeah, and a former U.S. Open champion. Bernard Langer puts him to shame. It's ridiculous how strong Bernard is and still doing it. He's won over 100 tournaments around the world, Danny.
Wow. It's amazing. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Our thanks to Rob Labritz. And coming up, we visit with Steve Flesch, who won the Ascension Charity Classic. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing from the Car Shield Studios, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's biggest names: Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Langer, Ernie Els, and more will return September 3rd through the 8th at Norwood Hills. All tournament proceeds go to area charities serving North St. Louis County youth and families. Sponsorship opportunities, pro-am foursomes, and more information available for you at ascensioncharityclassic.com.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level, 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our Back Nine Bar and Grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Coming to you from the CarShield Studios, and we're presented by Darty Business Solutions. Along with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and what a privilege it is to visit with the champion of the Ascension Charity Classic a few weeks ago, and that is Steve Flesch. Steve, congratulations, and thanks for being a part of the show.
I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you guys for asking me.
Steve, it was so great to see you. I don't even know where to start, man. I mean, you had your son Griffin on the bag. You shot 61 the last day, and let's just talk a little bit about the week for you, what it was like.
You know, I didn't get in town till Wednesday. I decided to stay home an extra couple days, mainly because I'm familiar with Norwood Hills from playing it the past couple years, and this time of year we've played so many events, like 3 and 4 in a row, that I just was like trying to sneak a couple extra days at home. But it also helps me just kind of be more refreshed when tournament time comes, that I'm a little better rested. But I got in town Wednesday, and on the flight over, I was just thinking about my golf swing and kind of what's been going on with the year. I've had a decent year, but it's just been a little erratic. Ball striking wasn't great, and I just kind of was thinking, and as you know from playing, I was basically taking my ball flight and working backwards. Sorry, that's my horse Weimaraner.
It sounded like he could carry you off over there. That's great.
He doesn't like the neighbor's dog, so he always warns it when it comes outside. But I was thinking backwards, like the ball flight laws. What causes the ball to shape a certain way? And I've kind of had the same kind of a cutty, wipey myth going, and I just was thinking back, like, what's producing that? And ultimately I decided I'm not getting behind the ball enough, so I just was focusing on my shoulder turn. When I got there Wednesday, hit some balls on the range, hit about 2 or 3 bags of balls, and my path was better and the contact was better, so I had something to build on for the week, and ultimately that was the difference maker. I had one of my best weeks in a couple of years striking it, and the putter showed up, and that was really the difference all week. I mean, to shoot 19 under for 3 days, you got to make some putts, and the putter was certainly hot, especially on Sunday.
Steve, as Jay alluded to, your son was on the bag. How emotional was that to have your son there on that 18th green and you finish it up, and a big hug for your son?
Man, Dan, it was it was special for a number of reasons, but the main one is we hadn't won together in any capacity when he's been caddying for me. He's caddied for me dozens of times in, professional events, whether it was, Corn Ferry Tour, a few years back when I was just turning 50, trying to get ready to play the Champions Tour. He's caddied for me a number of times on the Champions Tour because my caddy has had some back issues and had some surgery, so he was out and Griffin was helping out. But the other thing is, it's kind of the year of the Stevens winning on our tour. Stricker, Auker, Ames, and myself. And as we all know, Stricker's won with every family member on the bag, his wife, 2 daughters. I mean, his brother-in-law, Mario Tiziani. I mean, he's keeping the money in the family. I got to give him credit for that. But Stephen Ames and Stephen Auker both won this year with their sons on the bag. So I kind of had double the pressure. I needed to get the win for the Stevens and their sons, but at the same time, I never won with Griffin. So the fact that we pulled it off last week, a couple weeks ago in St. Louis was phenomenal. It was just, I'll tell you what, though, it was adding pressure to myself. When I got off to that fast start on Sunday, I was like, oh, wow, I got no excuses now.
I was going to ask you that, too. How do you deal with having that lead on, let's say, a back 9 on that final day, and it's exactly where you're going, but you're in control of the tournament. How do you deal with the pressure of that? I guess it's a different type of pressure for you.
It's good type of pressure for sure, but and Jay knows this from playing competitively. When you get off to a start like that, I mean, you start having all kinds of things run through your head. I'm thinking about, oh wow, maybe this is the week that Griff and I do it. I basically just figured if I could make 2 birdies on the back 9, having I think a 3 or a 4 shot lead at the time, that it would probably be enough. But the other thing is my good buddy Kevin Sutherland, who I guess he ended up birdieing 17 and 18 to finish 3 behind me. I mean, I know Kevin just from playing, he can go crazy. He needed a par, I think the final hole at the Dick's Sporting Goods tournament a few years ago to shoot 58. He 3-putted to shoot 59. And Kevin's one of these kind of guys who can get it going too. So I knew I couldn't just relax and coast in. I knew I needed to make at least a couple birdies on the back 9 to give myself some breathing room. So it all worked out great, but at the same time, I think whenever you're trying to win a golf tournament, there's always an uneasy feeling because the whole complexion of the tournament can change with one bad swing or one bad hole.
Well, Fleshy, we've also done this to ourselves so many times where we've had, things so closely to our grasp and then watched it kind of flitter away with like you said, either a poor commitment or a bad swing or a little combination of both.
All those thoughts run through your head. Then I'm thinking, I'll confess. I mean, like on 12 or 13, I'm starting to think like, what might I say if we do win this about Griff after the tournament? So I'm like, dude, get off of that. Get back to what you're doing. It's, you got a lot of time between shots out there. And I'll admit, I started daydreaming about the aftermath if I do win. And I'm like, golly, man, you know how this works. Yep. Keep your mind on your business and, think about this maybe in an hour and a half when you're walking up 18. So I'm glad it worked out, but man, I played good. And, Griff and I, more than anything, had a great walk the whole week.
Fleshy, talk to us a little bit about the back 9 there at Norwood. We've worked really hard to get the community involved, and St. Louis has responded. But as a player, to see that much hospitality, especially on the Champions Tour, is pretty cool.
It is. I think this is maybe the 3rd or 4th year that we played there at Norwood. Sorry, I'm horrible with dates and my memory wanes at times. But every year we've been there in St. Louis, the community support's been fantastic. It's that whole area of I think 9, 10. I think it's 13 coming back up the hill. There's always a ton of people there. And then, 18's always got a lot of people around, just supporting. And actually, St. Louis reminds me a lot of Cincinnati, basically where I'm from, Northern Kentucky. I live 10 minutes from downtown Cincy, and they're great sports towns. And, whether it's the Reds, the Cardinals, the Bengals, the St. Louis Blues hockey, I mean, it's passionate fans. And you could tell that, the people of St. Louis appreciated, having having the Champions Tour event there. It's great for the community, does a lot for charity, and certainly as fans of St. Louis showed out for the week, and they have every year. So it's a fun time. It's a great event, and Norwood Hills is a great host. So we, as players, we all appreciate being welcomed in such a great capacity.
Steve Flesch is our guest. He's the champion of this year's Ascension Charity Classic. He's also a lefty. I'm curious, growing up, did you try right-handed? It seems like you always hear about right-handed golfers, but they're natural lefties, so then they go back to being a lefty. So I'll just ask you, how did it all come about for you?
I'm a weirdo. I'll admit with how it came about for me. So my dad was a righty. I just started playing righty because he was a righty, and I shot a basketball right-handed because he did. I played tennis right-handed basically because that's what he did. And then I realized I bat left-handed in baseball, and which was my first passion. I mean, if I could have played baseball for a living, I would have. Yes, golf turned out great, but baseball was always my passion. But I pitched left-handed in baseball, and I batted lefty. I was forced to choose when I played in high school whether to play golf or baseball because they're both spring sports. I chose golf naturally because I was probably a little bit better at it, but I didn't have a choice. I had to choose one. But I did start playing golf right-handed because of my dad too. And then we were playing with my uncle who was a lefty. I was probably 12, I guess, maybe 11 or 12. And I just said, hey, my Uncle Ken, I said, do you mind if I hit one of your clubs? And it was just so much easier. And I'm thinking, all right, Dad, I'm a lefty now. But, back, that would have been, back in like the late 1970s, left-handed equipment wasn't readily available. I mean, and it wasn't good either. It was always like the bottom, kind of line of every company's stuff because it was like, yeah, lefties, we'll just give them something. We're not going to worry about the technology in it. But my grandfather was a rep for McGregor Sporting Goods, and he said, yeah, we got some Jack Nicklaus Golden Bear, irons and woods, and he got me a set of those, and that was it, man. I was a lefty full time, but it was a challenge, and it's funny. I say I'm a little weird because I don't do anything one particular way. I think I'm very ambidextrous, but I eat and write right-handed, but I throw left-handed, and I kick left-footed, shoot pool right-handed. I'm all messed up, but it's basically, I kind of did it because I emulated how people did things growing up. And if they shot a basketball right-handed, I just figured I'd shoot a basketball right-handed, even if it didn't necessarily feel right. And I became pretty proficient with both hands. And I think, as we all know, you got to have some good hand-eye coordination to play sports. But, I was blessed with good hand-eye coordination and being able to put the bat on the ball, the club on the ball. And I was a good shooter in basketball. So I'm not claiming I was a great athlete, but, for a little kid, I was pretty good. But, it was a lot of fun growing up, but I ultimately decided left-handed's the way I'm going to go.
Fleshy, we've had some really cool guests on the show that talked about the way they grew up. And a lot of them, especially Jack Nicklaus, was talking about how as soon as the weather changed as a kid, he put the golf clubs away and got the basketball out, got the football out. It sounds like that was a little bit about, how you grew up as well.
You probably grew up the same way. Fall is football or, basketball, winter's basketball. Then it became golf and tennis in the summer or what have you. It saddens me because I see kids nowadays that you have to basically declare your sport when you're in like early grade school. Like if you don't say, hey, I'm going to be full-time soccer, you get shunned because you don't get like put on select teams. You don't consider to play certain teams. Year-round baseball. I'm like, year-round baseball? I don't even know how you do that in Kentucky because you have 4 months where you can't even go outside to do anything. But that's kind of the way the world is now. And I think, I had a niece who was a great a volleyball player. Well, she blew her shoulder out when she was 16, because that's all she did. And I just find kids growing up need to be well-rounded. They need to use all parts of their body to develop and strengthen. And when you're just declaring like, hey, I'm going to be a baseball player when I'm 12 years old, I just think you miss out on the experience of being on, other teams, playing other sports, enjoying different things. And it's so competitive now. It saddens me because I think kids miss out on enjoying all sports and just, I think they get burnt out on one sport. But I was lucky growing up. My dad, he exposed me to all of it. My family encouraged me to play all of it. And I was decent at all of it. I wasn't a superstar by any means, but I enjoyed it. And like Jack Nicklaus, man, I put the clubs away in the winter because there was, I didn't even think about it till we had spring tryouts for the golf team. I wish more kids were able to do that now, and it wasn't forced upon them kind of in our culture, how this guy's going to be the next Michael Jordan, the next Tiger Woods, the next Tom Brady. I mean, you got to, we all know those, you're declaring a kid the next this is an awful lot of pressure, and it very rarely turns out, but that's kind of the way of the world.
It's so well put. Steve Flesch is our guest, the winner of this year's Ascension Charity Classic. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're kind of a late bloomer, went to the University of Kentucky. You played in a handful of professional events when you got out of there. Then you kind of bounced around on some different tours. So, number one, were you a late bloomer? And two, how did you get over the hump to become the player that you are today?
Man, that's a good question, Dan. When I got out of Kentucky, I only won a couple tournaments in college. I was pretty good, but I kind of fought the driver a little bit. I was a little erratic with it. Great chipper and putter because I had to be, because I wasn't that long of a hitter, but I got a marketing degree, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to go to work just yet. So I basically, I think I graduated in December of 91, and in the second week of January, and Jay knows about this, I decided to play the Asian Tour. And at that time, I'm not going to go through the whole history here, but I was like, I'm not going to work just yet. I'm going to pay, I think it was like $12,000 to play this Asian Tour. And it basically was like signing up for a cruise. All your hotels were paid for, your flights were paid for, your entry fees, and 11 or 12 national opens over on the Asian Tour were paid for, and you just had to cover food and caddies. And at that time, if you just had the money, you were in. There was some Monday qualifying, but it wasn't like there was a Q school for it at that time or not. And you basically got all these tournaments, and I did that for 5 years, because every time I came home in the fall to go to Q school, I screwed it up. I couldn't get through second stage, and it took me 7 years to get through Q school. And then finally in 97, I got through Q school and played the Nike Tour, and somehow finished fourth on that money list and got my tour card and kept my card for basically, 15 years, and very lucky, very fortunate, but I wasn't ready to go to work. So I had to give golf a shot, and I was persistent. I thought about quitting playing every November, because whenever you fail in golf, I'm a realist. I'm not a doom and gloomer all the time, but I'm certainly not lollipops and gumdrops. But, I just was like, you know what? I still think I'm good enough. And I kept at it. And that's, it took me 7 years to get out there to play. And I would say I'm definitely a late bloomer, but I'm glad I stuck with it.
I'm more of the rainbows and butterflies and unicorns over here, Fleshy, so I got you covered on that. But I want to talk and ask you a little bit about the Champions Tour Q School, because that's mission impossible. I don't know how you get through that thing.
And that's a product too of only being 78 guys each week on playing. There's no, it's not a big field, so spots are limited for sure, but it's a tough deal. I think it's a couple stages. Only 5 get their cards, and when only 5 guys get your cards, it's 4 rounds. There's not much margin for error. It's like playing these 3-round events each week. I mean, it's a sprint. It's not like that. There's such a big difference between 3-round tournaments and 4-round tournaments in terms of what you can and can't do to have a chance of winning. And the Q school is kind of that same way. It's any Q school you go to, you got to eliminate your mistakes, and you got to have a great week, because there's so many good players there. and access to the Champions Tour is definitely difficult. And I just don't see it getting any easier. I mean, in my 5 years or 6 years almost of playing on this tour, it's changed so much. Like my first couple years out, I thought this was the greatest tour in the world because it was so chill, so relaxed. You got finished. There were actually guys sharing beers, in like family dining, after the tournaments. And now I'll tell you, it's these damn guys like Mike Weir, Jim Furyk, Darren Clark. I say damn because these guys are grinders and they work hard. And all of a sudden, I'm joking, but, all of a sudden guys started practicing after the rounds now. And people are looking at them like, what are you doing, man? You're making this too serious. And you see it's so competitive now. Vijay Singh, he still hits more balls than anybody, but it's just like the vibe has kind of gotten way more serious than it was 6 years ago. And I'm not saying it's bad, but man, is it way more competitive now. The culture has become more PGA Tour like versus easygoing fun. It's not a retirement tour anymore. Yes, there's good money there still, but it's just more serious now than it was 6 years ago. And not saying it's bad, but I don't think that was the intent of the tour way back when. They started the tour with Nicholas Palmer, Player, Trevino to keep them in the game of golf. I think we're still ambassadors for the game and for the PGA Tour, but at the same time, I'm like, man, it's gotten serious out there and a lot harder to win.
Steve Flesch, our guest and the winner of the Ascension Charity Classic, and the name that you didn't mention was Bernard Langer. Are guys just amazed at what he's doing week in and week out?
I don't get it. He's like a cyborg, I call it. He's got that German mentality where he's very structured, very disciplined. He's got, like the Terminator type voice, all that stuff. But to do what he's doing, is he 65 or
yeah, 65?
I've lost track, but he's an anomaly. Everybody's like, oh, I hope I play till 65. I'm like, you guys have no clue what it takes to stay in as good a shape as he is, the discipline. He's overcome the yips, a handful of times, and he's still a fantastic player. But his ball striking, I think, is so underrated. He doesn't make mistakes to where he can't get the ball up and down. He's always missing in the right spots when he misses. And I think that's just a credit to, his game just hasn't deteriorated at the level that most guys' games do when they get in their 50s and 60s. That's a mental discipline too. But what he's done out there is remarkable. Hale Irwin's the same way. He just kept playing the same game over and over again. And I think his mental strength is what kept him competitive for so long. And, I don't have that mental strength. I fly off the handle too easily, but those guys, I don't know if you can teach that. I think so much of that is in them. You can go through the steps to try and learn to become a great player, but not everybody has the mental fortitude to just stick with it and not get ahead of themselves and get ticked off at times and be patient. And those guys are just blessed with, and Tiger Woods same way. Mentally they're just stronger. Jack Nicklaus, it's if you could bottle it up and sell it, I think you'd become a millionaire so quickly. But those guys, they're a different breed, and it's neat to watch. It's fun to compete against, but you just kind of have to marvel at the success of Bernard Langer out there. It's crazy.
Fleshy, I don't play anymore, and I got to play this year, which was a real thrill. And I get paired the first day with Rob Labritz, great guy, and Richard Green, another great guy. But I don't know either one of these two guys, right? So I'm hitting third off the first hole. Well, Labritz hits it 50 yards from the green, right down the middle with that ugly green ball, yellow-green ball that he's using, and then Richard stands up there and just kind of hits this thing. It looks like it's going to go out there about 245 that flies the left bunker, and it's about 75 yards out. And I just wanted to head back to the car. Where I'm going with this is the difference, and again, I don't play, but I'm 62, they're 50 and 51, and I was like, I feel like I'm 120 compared to these guys.
Yeah, it's strange too, because equipment has changed so much of everything. I mean, I still hit it as far now as I did when I was on tour, mainly because of the driver and the ball. I don't think my club head speed has gone down a whole lot, but I think whatever I've lost, I've gotten that much help back from, the low spinning ball and the low spinning driver. And if you can, I played with Kenny Perry on Saturday in St. Louis. He gets up on the first hole and drives it like down there where you can kick it on the green. And I'm like, dude, you're like 65 too. Like, are you supposed to? I mean, I'm just like, he outdrove me by 40 yards on number one. And I'm like, I'm not that short really still anymore. And I'm like, he hasn't really played for 2 years for, other reasons, but he's just like, he hasn't lost a step of distance at all. And it's amazing to me. And I get the argument about the ball and how far it's going when guys on our level are still hitting it that far. It's amazing, but it's a good way to stay competitive, because it's just, technology's out there to help you. I don't know where it ends. I'm not even going to get in the debate on the ball and all that, but it's a wild deal anymore how far guys are still hitting it at 50 years old and more. As you know, think how far we're still hitting it. What are those gorillas on tour doing?
Well, that's where it's insane.
It's a joke. I mean, I was watching some golf with a buddy, and we're watching the 18th hole at Southwind in Memphis, where we played a ton of times, you and I, Jay, and they're hitting it over the trees on the left down there 50 yards from the green. And I'm like, that is nuts. And they're not even thinking twice about where they're aiming that ball. And it's just a different game. I can't say I like it more, because I loved when the ball spun and curved, and you had to manage your way around the golf course. Now there's kind of no thought, because I don't even consider a 3-wood off the tee anymore unless I'm just running out of distance, because I don't hit a 3-wood straighter than my driver. It's you might as well get it as close to the green as possible. And I thought the old game of golf, and I'm not going to go down back in the day,
when we walked to school in the snow and all that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Both uphill both ways. Yeah. I just think the game had more nuance to it years ago, where now it's just kind of like, it's like a boxing match. You just keep throwing punches and the last guy standing, you still got to putt good, but I just don't think there's a whole lot of nuance to the game where balls get in trouble as quickly. The wind doesn't affect it now. And it's not that the game's worse. I just don't think that there's as much creativity now playing. Now, having said that, Tiger Woods still played like we did in the old days. He curved the ball. He used the spinniest ball out there. He hit different shots, different trajectories. And I just don't see the guys doing that nowadays as much as we had to in the past. And I think that's the allure of the game and the beauty of the game that's kind of been lost with the equipment.
Well, Steve, this has been a great visit with you, and congratulations on winning the Ascension Charity Classic, and looking forward to seeing you back in St. Louis next year.
Well, Dan, I can't wait, and I love St. Louis. I can't wait to come back, and I appreciate everything that Ascension does and you guys do for the tournament, and I'm honored to be the champion this year. So definitely Griffin and I are enjoying the what do you call it, the celebration still of having won.
That's great.
Good luck the rest of the year, buddy. We're pulling for you here.
Thank you, Jay and Dan. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
That's Steve Flesch, the champion of the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Hey, St. Louis, Eddie McVeigh here from Maggie O'Brien's. When you head downtown for a concert or cards or blues game, and now for the St. Louis City soccer game, please come see us at Maggie O'Brien's before and after your event. Take our shuttle to and from, or stay in-house and watch your favorite team on our multiple high-def TVs. We look forward to seeing you soon at one of our 2 locations in Sunset Hills on South Lindbergh, or downtown at the corner of Market and 20th Street. Union Station is next to us.
I want to welcome Redbird Heating and Cooling to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You can reach them at 314-320-9507 or on the website redbirdhvac.com. CEOs Jed Dickinson and Jerry Pearson run the area's most responsive and dedicated heating and cooling company that's been conscientiously supporting the St. Louis area for the last decade. Just last month, when my air conditioner stopped working, Jed and his team were at my home at 7 a.m. to replace one unit and then repair the other. Your money, like it's our money, was Jed's statement to me, and the repairs for Unit 2 was less than $200. If you want to work with a family-owned business that you can trust, then call 314-320-9507 or visit them at redbirdhvac.com. That's redbirdhvac.com.
This is Chris Nagel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. Heading down the stretch of Golf with Jay Delsing here on 101 ESPN on a Sunday morning. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Rob Labritz, our guest, and Steve Flesch just moments ago. And we're coming to you from the CarShield Studios presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. Really a fun visit with Steve Flesch. That was great.
Danny, we've talked about this off air, but I mean, the feeling of winning that tournament with your son and dealing with I loved how he talked about trying to keep it all together on the back nine.
Yes.
Like, I got a big lead, and then he talked about Kevin Sutherland, and Kevin Sutherland has the potential to just go off and birdie everything. And so, you got to keep your foot on the gas. You got to keep the thing in front of you, and he said he's battling all those thoughts. He's like, get out of there,
Right.
Stop thinking of that. I loved it. And you know what? For someone that loves the communities like you and I do, we couldn't have better champions. David Thompson, year one, the great Padraig Harrington last year. But Steve Flesch, man, he is just such a super solid citizen and a supporter of the game. Good dude, and really, really worthy champion.
If there's a theme from this show, is that there is a lot of talent on PGA Tour champions. I mean, these are guys that are still on the regular tour, some of them, but man, the talent is getting better and better and better as you move forward here with the PGA Tour champions.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, Fleshy talked a little bit about the technology and how the guys on the Champions Tour are hitting it 350 yards off the tee. I mean, that's just amazing. And so, yeah, I mean, I would have said when I was playing the regular tour, I was like, yeah, the Champions Tour is going to be fun, but it's not. I had no idea the level of compete.
Well, now how they prepare.
Danny,
the practice.
Look at them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and the guys, the 50-year-olds just come out there and they're in great shape and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's I've had guys say I think Steve mentioned this, how that tour is changing from, yeah, it's pretty relaxed. Like it's getting a little sharper out there. The guys, when you get a guy like Rob Labritz and you get a guy like Richard Green, they really haven't made the sort of money that like a guy like Fleshy's made in his career. He's had a wonderful career. Won 5 times, and just such a solid player. These guys won it.
Yep.
There's a lot of money, and hey. What I like about it, D, is it's competition. And if you can't hang, go do something else.
The final thought that I had from this, in following you at the PGA Tour Champions, is that equipment needs to change some way, somehow. Is that the equipment is starting to get bigger than what a course can hold.
No doubt.
When you guys are pounding it like you are, I just can't imagine watching I watched it at the Belle Reve Championship, the PGA Championship at Belle Reve. But the equipment, I don't know how you do it, but it's got to change a little bit because you're running out of land to extend some of these golf courses.
There's no doubt, and I really think it's the driver. I think the golf ball or the driver, there's got to be some sense of modification there somehow. I mean, they have made it so easy to drive the ball now. I mean, it is the 460cc driver head. I mean, it's so forgiving. The sweet spot's the size of a quarter now, where, you know, I swear I had some wooden head drivers that didn't have sweet spots because I couldn't find it.
The old persimmon drivers.
Those old persimmon drivers, man. And it just, something's going to have to give, Danny, or else on the regular PGA Tour, you're going to see 400-yard drives, and they're going to be relatively ordinary before too long, maybe in the next 5 years.
Hey, this is a great show. Our thanks to Rob Labritz, also to Steve Flesch, who won the Ascension Charity Classic. Always fun to be with you, Jay. And we got to run, so how do we end the show?
Hit them straight, St. Louis.